Yes, hello, one and all, to yet another cricket podcast of the MNL Time and cricket.com. My name's Avnish Hegde. We have an absolutely banging show today. There is no Akshay Kumaraswamy. Let me just quickly make that introduction to get it off my chest. It is back to good old Bish and Jeswant, who joins us from the comfort of his home or office by the looks of his attire. Bish, thanks so much for making your presence felt today. More with you in just a bit. And of course, in the other corner, as always, we have Nicky P. I like calling him that because he's our very own. And Nikhil Popa, welcome to you on the show. So there's lots to talk about, and I can't wait to get my quick Virat Kohli rant out of the way. But before that, there is IPL talk with MS Dhoni saying what he said, saying he's willing to play a few more years. What does that mean? Does he mean golf? Does he mean paddle? Does he mean cricket and the IPL more specifically? We'll also talk about the WTC and the scenarios because, guys, I love Test cricket and it's fucking hotting up. Pardon my French, but it's 20 tests to go in the WTC cycle and there's still about 4 to 5 teams to contend for it. So what more can we want? And of course, we'll have the aftermath of that Pune Test and the aftermath of the Pindi Test, if we have to say so, and lots more, including Elise Perry and her run chase. And there's a 15-year-old making all the right noises in the WBBL. But guys, first and foremost, introductions as always. Nikhil, how are we this afternoon or evening?
Lots of rants ever since the last few days. Some good, some not so good. I don't think how people have taken to it, but the genuine cricket fan should be slightly disappointed. Again, because we don't celebrate our wins enough, the losses will sting. So, but it's okay. It's part of life. We saw 2003, we saw 2012, and I felt 2019, okay. 2023, 2024, thank God for that Klaas and Miller partnership getting broken. Otherwise, this year would have been unbearable. So, that is cricket. It takes some, it gives some.
It does. And Bishan, I'll get your first thoughts. But before that, the comments to pour through. Vignesh Ram with the first one. I don't know whether you didn't enjoy the Hindi show that we did put out the other day, but we're here doing the English one 51 times in the trot. So give us a like. And of course, subscribe if you're new. Amit saying hi, hello to freaking awesome as well. And hi, sorry, why no Akshay? He's gone on a trek to Dehradun, believe it or not. He's a walker. So he won an award in the Friday night Diwali party that we organized. It was called a Walker Award for walking so much. So just to give you context, he uses the metro as a mode of commute in our good old Bangalore. And he's decided to walk, a 64-kilometer trek 8 hours beyond Dehradun. So we have no connectivity to Akshay. God bless him. Hopefully he comes back in a piece and we'll see him in the next MNL. And is there a How's That quiz? Only time will tell. Introspect saying, good evening, folks. No Akshay. Yeah, I love that guy. We all love him. And I just explained why he's gone about. He needed a break. He did some fab work in the Women's World Cup. And look, he features in the Unwind this week. And I'll give you a hint of that too later on in the show. IPL talk without Akshay, but have you had IPL talk with Bishan? You don't know what you're missing out, guys. I think we're really underselling Bish in this. So look, Bish will have his piece on Virat, on the WTC, and the eerie similarities of 2012 and the 2024 defeats, the England-New Zealand one as well. But first off, look, I've seen fans just rant, explode on X, Instagram, Reddit. Some are even saying other websites, which I can't mention here. But point is, no one's liking what Virat's doing out there as a test cricketer right now. But I will have my piece because I have, of course, prepared a few points. And I know that the stats are diabolical. I feel that we point at that inevitable 20 times out by spin. And I get that. But you look at the rank turners that we're preparing, it is shocking. Even if you look at your Virat Kohli of the 2016, 2017, 2018 era, you're talking about those 211 that he got in Indore against New Zealand, the 213 that he got against Sri Lanka and Delhi or Indore and Nagpur or wherever it was. It was good surfaces We've just gone into this era that we're just preparing rank turners because we're scared that we'll be done by the opposition batters, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I will show you Shubh's article in just a bit, which shows how Virat's got out by spin 20 times, but Ashwin's got out 23 times, Rohit 19 times, Gill 11 times, Jaiswal 9 times. So it's not just Virat. I understand that the man's not scored runs in the last 5 years. He's got 200s in the last 55 innings. But what better way for him to make his comeback in the BGT? If we get anything in Mumbai, it'll be a bonus to us. And let me know in the comments right now if you guys agree with me. I know a lot of people have commented on the Cricket.com video of Dinesh Karthik saying we shouldn't sugarcoat Virat Kohli stats. I know many people have said their piece on various social media platforms, like I said, on the very Twitter feed of the BCCI and so on and so forth. And I feel write off a good player at your own peril. And we've seen that multiple times. I would not just say that as a Virat Kohli fanboy. I generally feel that you look at some of those dismissals in the 20 that we actually look, it is shocking dismissals, Bish and Nix, in terms of getting ones which are not really good for any batter. And you look at the context, right? In terms of pre-2020, we talk about Virat Kohli being in God mode. He has to, of course, get some credit in the bank, which he's built up. There's a body of work that he's put in as a batter. We're talking about a guy who's got 6 test tons against Australia in Australia. We're talking about a guy who's got tons everywhere bar in Bangladesh. But my point being, in his first 84 tests, only Steve Smith had more hundreds than him in the whole history of the game. So I'm saying what is accumulated in the last 5 years, yes, it's been hard to take as a Virat fan. I hold my heart to my head and I would think, yes, there is problems to solve. The back foot gives me nightmares. I'll point that out as well in the show's piece. But my rant essentially comes from how people are just writing him off, saying he's done. There's no coming back, no peak again. He has a peak. And I think he will put his application to it. We've seen it with Sachin going back in the day with Lakshman Sriviramakrishnan getting in touch with him and bowling spin to him. Dravid's come back from a lull. Jayawardene Sankar, I can name you instances. Now, India start off their BGT. Virat thrives against the Aussies. He averages 54 in down under. And I generally feel that'll be a perfect way to start a new cycle for him. He loves Test cricket, right? I don't know whether he goes back and plays domestic cricket like everyone's suggesting him to right now. But if I do the math, he stays in London. The county is there. Just go for it, Virat. Use that as a precursor for England 2025. So you know what I'm saying, right? Essentially, I'm venting. I am sad. I am frustrated as a Virat fan. But at the end of the day, the numbers don't seem as bad as they are when you take the man on the whole, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Nix, you can have your peace and ambition. I will sip my water right now.
That is a lot. I think you and Somesh need to get into a room. that would be good to hear. See, I've heard Somesh's bit as well. I've heard your bit, and I have said my bit as well. Every cycle, every player will have its own ups and downs. I think Virat has gotten that longer rope because he's done so well. There is no way you are going to play a guy averaging 30 odd for over 5 years if you're not sure of the credit in the bank. So I think he's got that. And from I personally as well, I know that he's going to get the next 11 test. So to me, that is any which way sorted. I don't think we are questioning or anybody suggesting to drop him immediately. But the point is, come 1st November, the Wankhede test could be his last home test. And if that is the case, I don't think it will be unfair because someday or the other, you have to move on. You cannot expect the next guys to just come in and perform and to come good away from home. So for all your points, I am completely in, and see, that is what hope does to you, right? You still want to cling on to whatever little you get. You got that 17 Bangalore. I think that Glenn Phillips dismissal is going to haunt him for a long, long time because that is the closest that he had come to not making any errors and just getting himself into the game. One more ball and he could have even gotten a bigger score the next day. So I don't think he's going to get dropped. He's going to play at least the next 5 tests in Australia and most likely should be, of course, be playing in England. Uske baad, I think the time is up, not just for you as a player, but it's time to pass the baton on. And you'll have to do it someday or the other. You can't just keep going on and on. And you can go on in IPL, bring back another rule, get MS Dhoni and Virat playing together as uncapped players. I have no problem. But because Test cricket is important and you can't just see in ODI cricket, you have a lot of people who can come in and replace you. Potentially, on paper as well. But Test cricket, it is not that easy. So you'll have to be fair to the next guy as well, and give them enough chances. So I think it's very fair. You are asking for time. He's got the time. 11 tests. Do your bit. Go on ahead.
Okay, I understand that. But my qualm is particularly with how people are essentially kind of alluding to maybe there's not that much fuel left in his test drive anymore. I think he can turn that around. I generally think that I'm betting 2028 essentially is a year that Virat will retire from all formats, including the IPL. That's a bold call, but I know sometimes we look at 3-4 years ahead thinking, shit, that's a far time away, but then time flies and you don't understand how Dhoni's still playing on, right? So I'm not comparing every cricketer to MS because he's definitely an exception that way. And I'll let Bish come on. And I just want to rant about another thing. I hate how Virat and Rohit are compared in every small little conversation every time. I think I agree with Somesh when he spoke about this on the Hindi live show that they're clubbed together because Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma's test batters are absolutely different. They're cut from a different cloth. Virat, yes, has got that body work like I've just mentioned before. And Rohit, to be fair, if he's not the captain, then you're looking at him as an opener and he's just got, 10 tests, 10 hundreds in 33 tests or something as an opener, which is not that good. I mean, essentially, if it was just anyone else, Murli Vijay, KL Rahul, people would have made the most of it. So I think it's Rohit's PR team who's doing it. And again, I'm not, of course, going to be swallowed alive by all Rohit's fans. I'm just seeing it how it is. Keep your comments coming through. It's good to see Amit, Ankar Biswas, Nivya, Kanan be in the chat as well. Bish, before I get technical about Virat's numbers and then go to the aftermath, the whole Pune loss, what is your 2 pence on Virat, considering we're having that topic right now? And do you think there's genuine hope where he can turn this around and then go on to amass 12,000, 13,000 runs in this format?
So I'll tell you what my issue with Virat currently is, okay? So through all these years when he's been in bad form, now he scored a couple of hundreds in the last year, but there was a period of 2 years before that when he didn't even have that, right? But even through that bad spell, he always looked confident and he always looked in form, right? You thought Virat is batting so well and then he found a way to get out. Now, in the last year or so, Virat is not looking like he's in form. He looks like any ball could have his number, right? He looks like he's fending for balls. He looks a bit uncomfortable. And this is the most uncomfortable and lacking in confidence that I've seen Virat ever, even from 2010 days. So that is a bit of a cause for concern. So while we know the guy's mental fortitude is, beyond question, and there's probably nobody like him in terms of determination to, get things going. I remember the time when people criticized him for not getting a big score, and then he got 5 double hundreds in 1.5 years, right? So, I mean, he's the kind of guy, if he puts his mind to it, he can do it. But now I cannot imagine Virat scoring a 150. Like, there's just not a long enough patch of play where he's not making a mistake, because there's always a mistake every 10th ball. Right, it just feels like he's not there anymore. Now that's why I don't feel so confident.
You mentioned that. I just generally want to look back at that 186, which is of course the things that his fans point out that he got in the BGT 2023 at home, I think it was. And you look at that, and I think it was the second most minutes he's lasted in a test innings, 517 minutes or something. I think the first one was that Mumbai knock against England, the 243 that he got in 2016. So point being, he can actually take a page out of someone like Rahul Dravid's book and just be that rock that we need, right? So do you think he can?
Yeah, but if you remember that game, that was a fairly placid kind of wicket. It wasn't like a super tough wicket to bat on, right? And you want your best guys to stand up when conditions are tough. Yes, India over the last 6-7 years has produced turning wickets, but apart from a 3-year period when we prepared dust bowls, the last 3 home seasons have not been dust bowls. The pitches this series have been very, very fair pitches, right? If you have a New Zealand team playing against Jadeja, Ashwin, Kuldeep, if they can score 250 plus in 2 back-to-back innings, this is not a dust bowl. We have ourselves to blame for being 150 all out, and Virat and co have to take responsibility for not being able to stand up when it counts, right? We can't blame the pitches for the last 3 years. I admit, there was a 2-3 year period when I thought it was embarrassing to be playing test matches in those conditions, but that was really a fairly short period of time. That criticism the BCCI wasn't willing to take either. And the pitches over the last 3 years have been turners, but not dust bowls. not turning from ball one. So I don't think that's really an excuse anymore. But all of that said, your question, Avnish, was can he come back? I think the answer is yes, because Australia is just the best place to bat in the world. There is no country that is easier to bat in than Australia right now. The bounce is true. The bounce is not sharp. Like MCG is probably the deadest wicket in the world. You're asking for a draw to happen over there. Like Australia is the best place to bat, the easiest place to bat. Pick the other countries one by one. New Zealand seems a lot. England still seems a lot. South Africa is the only country where the pitches actually bounce sharply. West Indies fine, reasonably flat, but the opposition there, if you don't want to talk about West Indian pitches in that context. Australia, all things considered, is the one pitch, one country where it's really easy to bat right now. If you had to pick a country, that's the country you'd pick. So, and he has a great track record, loves Australia, loves Australian pitches, loves the vibe he gets off the crowd over there. Let's antagonize them a little bit. The players are his type. So, it's a great time for an Australia series. If he can't G himself up for this series, I think those 11 tests that you were talking about is the end of the road, Nikhil.
Interesting. Lots of comments coming through our way, Nix's way as well. Remember, we have the 12th man segment, which I'll definitely share some questions with Nix, with all the ones coming through right now. Good to see new faces as well. Please subscribe if you're new and like this video, because there's lots more live shows coming up this week on cricket.com. Shubh Agarwal saying Avnish defending Kohli better than Kohli defending spinners. Shubh, I'll tell you what, I'll plug in your article right now. If you guys don't know, he's an in-house writer. And let me just feature it because it's available on the cricket.com app and the website. Sorry about that shameless plug-in, but it is what it is. But it's a lovely headline. If you could take a look at this. Now, it's titled Virat Kohli, a master burdened by his shortcomings. It was published this afternoon. Now, I love the first para because it does set context, because it tells you that he had 55 or close to, at least, as an average in his first 84 tests. It's that blip that we've all been going crazy about, and rightly so. Everything was kind of brilliant in 2019, like he points out there, but then there's some crazy stats and graphs that you take a look at right now. And I'll try to increase, just try to make it bigger for you also, just in terms of viewing. We'll get to it. Yeah, for example, this one. Now, the minimum 1,500 runs barrier, but look at what we're talking about. Lowest batting average in tests since 2020, and he's in shit list, to be fair. With all due respect to the other batters, they have not done anything wrong to me, but you don't talk about Virat Kohli in the same bet with all these other names, barring David Warner, of course, but he's had his frailties too. And then it goes on in terms of his record against pace and spin, and of course how we spoke about Indian batters being bit by spin. Look at the dismissals over there, not just Virat's 22, but Ashwin's 23, Rohit's 19, Jadeja's 14, so on and so forth. There's another real thing that he's pointed out, apart from the beehives and all the other data, which is all available, is the fact this one with finger spin being a real Achilles heel for Virat. And again, look at the names that he's in with Mehdi Hassan, DDS, Ashwin, Abdullah Shafiq, Rohit Sharma. So it's a tough one for Virat fans to take this one. And finally, I think he's also compared, that is Shubh, that is, compared how Virat and Rohit's, Virat and Root's back foot game is basically pretty much, I don't know, average wise, it's something that Virat needs to work out basically. Did you guys see that, by the way?
I mean, I read the article. I don't think we saw it on the screen, but I mean, of course, Sorry?
I don't know why that screen sharing thing wasn't present, but I'll just try to quickly show you that.
Yeah.
Now, can you see it?
No.
Nope.
Anyway, the StreamYard feature is lit. But point is, sorry for not actually showing your article, but it's a shout out to you for writing it anyway. But Shubham Sharma saying Virat is a walking wicket versus spin, and he will, of course, get that sorted. It's just about what he can do. There are more data pieces that we can show you, like this one. It's all available on social media. Some great numbers going about. Not so great if you're a Virat fan, that is. But a quick look at all of them right now, and we'll move on nicely to the next big talking point of Monday Night Live this week. And I want to just get into the WTC, but of course, how can we ignore the horror show before Halloween in Pune, and I'm talking about India and New Zealand. Bish, what did you not like about that defeat? Because there's a lot of things been done. Coach Gambhir apparently has taken away privileges from his senior pros. You cannot skip optional practice. So Rohit, Virat, I think are going to attend that 30th, 31st practice session, not participate in Diwali and all of that. So do you feel sad? Are you empathetic? Or you're just like, it's high time?
What I couldn't get from this entire series, including the Pune game, was how we can collapse 4 times in 4 innings. Every innings was a collapse, right? In conditions that are not super spin friendly, sure, they were turning wickets against bowling that was not great. Ajaz Patel, to be fair, still hasn't had a good innings yet. Mitchell Santner, before this series, had picked up 3 wickets in an innings, and that was his best performance ever. You're against an average spin bowling attack, again on a pitch that's not turning that much. How have you collapsed 4 times in 4 innings? I get that the first day was not
Yeah.
spin based. The first day in Bangalore was entirely New Zealand conditions. And I'm guessing that that played a large part on their confidence. India's confidence was dented. New Zealand were buoyed by their performance in that, first innings. And sure, so there's a lot of cricket is mental. And I think the bad start has contributed to the bad series. But there's only so much you can blame on a bad start. And over these years, we've just heard Indian
Heard so
captains
much.
say so often that it was one bad hour. If you have one bad hour every 10 games, that's plenty of bad hours, and that's what cricket games turn on. So it was really frustrating. That's the frustration of watching India in these conditions where you expect them to be good against a team that has just got thrashed in Sri Lanka against a bowling attack that's arguably worse than us, right? No disrespect to Prabhat Jayasuriya and co. They're a fantastic bowling attack as well. But you would expect Ashwin and co to, have done a better job in these conditions. So before this entire New Zealand leg started, I don't want to say I predicted it because I did not predict it. I was though upset that India's in New Zealand play India third because they first had an Afghanistan series as one test match, then they had the Sri Lanka series, and then they had the India series. When I saw that fixture list
Well
come out,
prepared.
I wasn't happy. But I still thought that considering India's record, whatever, 18 unbeaten series and whatnot, and the quality of players we have, and the lack of quality in New Zealand's bowling attack, I thought it would be good enough. But that fixture list didn't make me happy either. Um, yeah, so I mean, about Gambhir's, whatever changes in plans, I think a little bit of a shock to the system is good. Whether the senior players deserve it or not is not relevant. I don't think anyone deserves to be punished. Everyone's doing their best, and these guys, like you said, Avnish, have a body of work behind them. So I don't think they need to be punished. They're feeling worse about it than every Indian fan. There's nobody who's feeling as bad about this right now as Rohit and Virat. I don't think they need, you know, stick up their backside right now. That's definitely not what these guys need. But there's a little bit of a shock to the system which is required, a statement that a new coach wants to make. And I think Gambhir being young enough, steps like this won't be taken too badly. If Anil Kumble did this, for example, he would be called a schoolmaster, right? But I don't think Gambhir's actions would be perceived in the same way. And there could be a net negative that comes out of this, a net positive that comes out of this.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a good comparison that you make with Kumble. I want to just get Nix's thoughts on it because he's absolutely had his piece in that live show that sports fan is appreciating right now. Good on you, sports fan. Go tune in to those shows more regularly because it's going to be a permanent fixture on the cricket.com platform, so to speak. And Kanan, you have a good question. I'll save that for the 12th man. And so do you, Alan James. We'll talk about the Mumbai Test and expectations from it. Nix, what is your expectations for the Mumbai Test? Because that was literally my next question. Because I generally feel, even though we've lost the series, this is a precursor to the BGT. The fans are still having that sour taste in their mouth. Virat Rohit get runs here. India absolutely crucify New Zealand. Public memory short. We go to that BGT with momentum. Do you see it the same way, or do you still think it's tough to kind of get over this 2-0 defeat?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great chance for them to show that they're ready for the BGT. Again, no disrespect to New Zealand here, but that has been the conversation that we have had even before the start of the home test series. That how can we prepare for BGT versus Bangladesh and New Zealand? Now you have already lost this series, but the fact of the matter is, can you rest Bumrah here? No. There is WTC that you want to fight for. There is an Australia series where you want to be in contention for, because if you don't win Mumbai, you need to win four. I mean, you can win three and still qualify, or win two and do help if you get help from other teams. But You'll have to put your best foot forward. To me, the only worry in all of this is I want to see the hunger or whatever the body language experts want to say about. I want to see that hurt of losing a home test series come out in terms of performance. I don't care if they shout at the opposition or they celebrate a wicket, however. In terms of game plan, I think New Zealand have completely outplayed India in every single department. And to me, that has been the biggest disappointment from this entire series that Bangalore can still happen. I'm still okay to understand that 46 happened, you were so far behind the game, you came 356. But Pune was designed for you. Pune is where you have had your bread and butter. If you mess up Pune, and you mess up Pune in the way that you have, where you are not even in the game, that will dent confidence, no matter what they want to say. And I know they're all professional enough and they'll pick themselves up well. But the fact of the matter is, at this point of time, the confidence will be so hit that is Jadeja bowling at the right pace? Does Ashwin have the bite? Who is my set? What is Akashdeep's role? He did not bowl a single ball in the second innings. So at this point of time, India have so many questions that they'll have to find very good and effective quick fixes. Because again, you can't overbowl Bumrah. So to me, I want to see a very recharged, but I'm very keen to see how do they do this, because I am 100% sure we'll not see grass. Because if we see grass, New Zealand can get in another pacer and we'll be done. We'll have 2 sessions of bad play that is cost us a series. So that cannot happen. Turner, good bounce. Okay, you're saying we'll get Akshar Patel for Akashdeep. Fair enough, bring it on. But the thing that New Zealand will also remember is this is a hurt Indian side. If you knock them out early, this could still go a long way in terms of setting New Zealand's biggest ever series ever. So I think it's going to be very, very key that, see, we all want to be motivated that yes, they'll come back strongly, they'll win 2-1. But the things how they have panned out, as Bishan said about Virat, you don't see that confidence in the way they are playing, in the way they are bowling. Rishabh Pant had to be the guy to say, let's build body language, boss. This is first session of a day, of a second test where you are 1-0 behind. You don't need more motivation than that at home. So I don't think it is going to be easy, but this is a very good acid test for the entire management, more so for Gambhir, because see, he's said a lot of things outside. Now is the time to walk the talk.
Yeah, and he'll have to walk the talk with some sort of style in Australia if they have to get themselves to Lords next year. We'll come to that. Like I said, lots more on the show, including a New Zealand chat in a couple of minutes' time. Om Prakash Dash saying, remember, they're also aging superstars. Somewhere they falter and will feel like the worst team of the planet. Let's be honest, it will be wiped out soon. Everyone's entitled to your opinion, and we appreciate yours, Om, on the Monday Night Live podcast. Tell everyone about it, and they can get their comments heard too. Kanan B saying, I hope it's on a flat pitch in Mumbai for our batters to score runs, and which might end in a draw like Australia and Ahmedabad. Prepare a similar pitch like Kanpur and take on the challenge. He goes on to say, freaking awesome, lending his stats expertise, saying Ashwin is the highest wicket taker in the Wankhede. Thanks for that. And what kind of pitch will India go for in the Wankhede? There will be the traditional bounce. There will be the red soil. If you guys know, tell us. Your guess is as good as ours. But Bish, any changes that India could make? I know it wouldn't be knee-jerk reactions. Rohit is certain played this one down in terms of it happens in 12 years and all of that bullshit. But point being, any personnel that will come back in, a KL for Sarfaraz, for example, or do you think that will remain unmoved?
I don't see KL for Sarfaraz as a realistic move in these situations. In fact, in the last test match, when Sarfaraz and Washi were batting towards the end of the game, you could just tell that these are the only 2 guys in the team who feel comfortable with the conditions, who have time to play their shots, who are able to, play late and watch the ball, till the very end. Nobody else could do it. And while they were batting, and Sarfaraz got a great ball, turned away and took his off stump to get out, I think anybody would have lost their wicket there. And not that we had a chance when they were batting because we were a long way behind the game, but they looked comfortable. And the difference is those are the 2 guys who've been playing domestic cricket. Right, they've been playing on these wickets against this kind of bowling, which nobody else has done. Random quick fact here: Sachin played his last Test match after Virat's last Ranji match after Virat's last Ranji match. Virat played his last one in 2012, and Sachin played Ranji game in 2013. So that's how long it's been since someone like Virat has played Ranji Trophy cricket, right? So you just don't. There's no familiarity. So I definitely don't want KL, who's in the same boat as many of these guys. Coming back instead of Sarfaraz, who is arguably the best player of spin and best player in these one of the best players, maybe even best player to be fair, in these conditions, bar Yashasvi. So yeah, in terms of personnel changes, the only one is really to get another spinner in. Like Nick mentioned, you could play a spinner instead of Akashdeep, because Akashdeep really, there's not much value. I like his batting honestly, but you can't pick him for that. So you could have a fourth spinner in here. I felt bad that Kuldeep didn't play the last game, though I thought it was a sensible choice. I mean, ultimately, Washi picked up plenty of wickets, so it looked great. But even if he didn't, I think not playing Kuldeep was reasonable on that pitch. You want control against your left-handers, which Washi was giving you. In this game, I don't know if you can have Kuldeep in again, because Washi has to play, Ashwin has to play. You can't have another spinner who takes the ball away from the left-hander. So it would probably have to be Akshar if you had to play a fourth spinner. So by default, Kuldeep, even though he's definitely not our fifth best spinner, he is going to be sitting out this game, even when we play four. I'm sure it'll be a slap on his face, but he should know that it's not merit based, but the circumstances based.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I'm just kind of actually picturing that right now as you think of it. Freaking awesome, throwing another stat in the bag. Look, I mean, they've broken so many records already that why wouldn't they fancy a 300 plus in the beautiful sunshine in Mumbai? I'm guessing it's not raining this time of year, even though Bangalore is having its showers now and then. Keep your comments coming through. I know Sudarshan Sandhu asking us right now, why do you think they release the BGT squad mid-test? Maybe just to kind of ensure certain players that they're going to make their flight to Australia. There was never going to be a last-minute change, let's face it. But a good question, Sudarshan. Keep your comments coming through. Sports fan has this. Kuldeep has dropped from even the BGT. We'll talk about that, how we're going to miss him and Mohammad Shami, because Mohammad Shami, I think, has 2 fifers in Australia. Kuldeep has 1. Remember, Sydney 2018 comes to mind. That same test where Pant scored a 159 batting 5 down or whatever it is. How is this
Kuldeep
management?
wasn't dropped, though. He was injured for BGT. He's been recommended that he takes. Yeah.
Fair, but essentially, I think he'll miss the first 2-3 tests. Shami, I think the caveat is that he might play 2 Ranji games before that Adelaide test, which is the third one starting on the second test, sorry, which is on the 6th of December. So let's see if we can rush Shami in for that. Where is Akshar?
Correction, Kuldeep is not injured, but recommended some treatment for recovery, yeah.
Yeah, Vignesh Ram saying groin injury. We'll just check.
Correct.
Chronic groin. They wanted him to go to Center of Excellence to sort out his chronic groin injury that's been hampering him for a while.
Yeah, he can play and he's available for selection in Wankhede, but yeah, there is an issue.
Okay. Pranav Anand also has a belter for the 12th man. Remind me, Pranav, in the show later on to take this question. We'll talk about Santner also and show you a mad in-depth piece about control and speed, which is on cricket.com's website too. It's by Rahul Singh. And we'll talk about the BGT as well. But it's only fair, just a little bit, right, to, of course, think about New Zealand's victory, guys. Because at the end of the day, what they've done to keep their WTC hopes alive, even though it's a 2% chance, 3% chance, if they still kind of get the job done in this one and then beat England 3-0 later on in the year, who knows what is in, because no one gave them a chance to come to India and win, but they've done that. So New Zealand will always kind of throw their punch above their weight. Sorry for that cliche. I know I've said that way too often. But before we get their opinions, rather Nick's and Bish's opinions about New Zealand, eerie similarities. And again, not because Halloween's close by or whatever, but I was just chalking these down. And this is what I came across, right? We are in silly facts from India's last 2 test series defeat at home. Now, if you cast your mind back, when was the last time we lost a home test series? 2012, and that was towards England. So both of them had left-handed captains, i.e. Tom Latham and Alistair Cook, who had, mind you, their first series as full-time captains in this one. So Latham, of course, this time, and Cook before that. England and New Zealand lost their home series 2-0 prior to those respective series. So I think England lost 2-0 to South Africa at home, and then New Zealand, of course, lost 2-0 to Sri Lanka, beg your pardon, coming into this one, and Australia as well. Sets of spinners with last names starting with S&P. I laughed about this. Santner and, of course, Phillips or Patel, however you like it, to Swan and Penisar. There is a combination there. Had Mumbai as a venue in the test. That's an obvious one. Saw India's number 4 get clean bowled by left-arm spin in the series. Now, that's, of course, Penisar dismissing Tendulkar and Virat getting out to Santner. And finally, or penultimately rather, saw Gambhir lose first as a player in 2012 and then coach in 2024. And finally, the silliest one, have land ending in their names. If you can think of any more, please comment below. You look at that test series, guys, the 2012 against England, and how it was a 4-match series, albeit this one's a 3-match one, Knicks. Do you kind of have weird themes coming out of that one to this one? Left arm spin is definitely one.
I mean, if people are not privy, but when the toss happened, that was the first message I put in our internal WhatsApp group, that I just genuinely get the vibes that this could end up being a swan and Panachar kind of thing, and how worse it was, that it was not even the two prominent spinners that New Zealand have, but it ended up Santner showing us the door. But I mean, forget about the similarities. I just still can't wrap my head around how outplayed and how smart New Zealand's homework was. So to me, that is, see, it's one thing to compare England and New Zealand and say that, okay, England had a far better team, Cook playing a blinder, Keepy probably playing one of the knock for the ages, which is 186. And then you had, and remember they lost that first test, still they had to come back and then they won. So the patterns emerged themselves. But to me, the homework that New Zealand did and how smartly they see, it's not easy to first outbowl Jadeja and Ashwin. To do them both in a single test, mind blowing. To do that by not your prominent spinner and by Mitchell Santner, it is beyond understanding that how can you make this math that in the first test you have a 46, then a guy who's not scoring runs at all for his team, Tim Southee, he ends up outscoring India. I could have never imagined saying that sentence, that Tim Southee outscored Team India in a test match in India. Saying this takes me a pause. Ki bhai, what has happened? And then in the second test, you had that. So I think it just goes on to say how much experience can help you if you use the right lessons. They were hurt. I mean, I wouldn't say hurt. They were disappointed that they could not play Afghanistan. In the Sri Lanka series, they were shot out for 88. You put all of that in context and you see what they've gone on to do this. The bigger praise for me for them is how clinical they look. This was not a close game that they won. This was not a close series. Both those matches, it was only 2 hours or 3 hours where India were in the game when Sarfaraz and Pant had a great partnership. That's all. Apart from that, New Zealand were always there. And in my memory, whatever short little memory it is of 10, 15 years, I can't remember watching any series where India were playing catch-up cricket. So I think all of this just goes to show how well New Zealand have done. And just to conclude the similarities, I think that was also the last time India had 2 tests in Maharashtra. So maybe that is something to take care of. Don't have 2 tests in Maharashtra. Nagpur and Mumbai, I think it was in 2012. And of course, Pune and Wankhede. So please, BCCI, बहुत कुछ you can change this also.
Yeah, it's another one by Nick. If you guys have more comment below, there's also going to be the question of the night tonight, which is a really good one. We'll show that for you. Nivya N saying India were overconfident, unasked by New Zealand. Om Prakash Dash going on to say the worst part is Glenn Phillips taking more wickets than Ajaz Patel. Absolutely, and he got some big scalps too. Karan B saying, wasn't it a better call to name a 15-member squad for BGT than add another 3 after the India A games to give those games some context and then something to the squad to play for? Yes and no. I feel like if you could just tell your men straight away that there will be those backup 3, it always bodes well mentally for those individual players more than a sort of last minute sort of thing. I know that they're anyway going to apply that trade in Australia at the MCG. Ramna Kiran, good evening to you on the Monday Night Live. He goes on to say, a one word Kiwis had in their cricket that India didn't is discipline. I don't know what kind of emotion she or he is indicating, but good on you for commenting. Jadeja is nearly bowling 80 no balls, saying Damodar Dabala. Being a spin bowler still wonders me. Is it going to continue? Management should do something about it. I mean, sometimes you just think of that sound of the no ball popping up every time Jadeja kind of walk back to his mark. It's bizarre. Freaking awesome, saying India have lost 16 test series so far at home, 5 against the West Indies, 4 against Australia, and England 1+1 off test versus England 1980. Last one series against Pakistan, South Africa, and New Zealand. Thank you for that. And major players missing from last time: Pujit, Jinx, Lord Shami, Kuldeep. Yeah, 100%. We'll count to Pujara as well in the BGT squad right now, in fact, because I just want to showcase that to you. Before that, though, it's really fair to just quickly ask the boys, Is this the biggest upset so far in Test history? That's the question tonight, and I want to get the guys in the comments chatty. But can you think of anything else which comes close?
I think Bangladesh beating New Zealand in New Zealand, not an entire series, but even a test match there, was fairly big. And I think that was a 2-test series, so Bangladesh didn't lose that series, if
No,
I'm
I'm
not
saying
wrong.
in terms of the series being won, because I was thinking of that
Yeah.
as well. Where I think that was the Ibadat series, right?
Yeah, the 2023 series, the last year, 22 or 23. Yeah. So I think that was a pretty big upset.
Sri Lanka and South Africa, Singh Pranav.
Again, that was a 1-1 series, wasn't it? The Kusal Pereira 140
Oh,
innings.
they won that. I think they won that
They
1-0.
won the series. Yeah.
They won the series. They won the series. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was on the back
Then
of
there
a
was
blinder.
Zimbabwe beating Pakistan.
Oh, when was that?
There was Zimbabwe beating Pakistan in 2013, wasn't it? If
In a
anybody
test?
who's watching can give us some comments, I think it was 2013 when Zimbabwe beat Pakistan, which was
So this
a big
must be what?
upset.
Misbah's Pakistan.
Yeah, yeah, probably Misbah's Pakistan.
Let me just check.
What else? What are the other big series upsets?
I think this
Arguably,
is to me this is just second to India beating Australia in.
yeah, I was going to say
That's
India,
still-
Australia next. Yeah,
Yeah, I think, but that is still second because I think the manner in which New Zealand have beaten India is why it takes the top kick because they were absolutely clinical. India only had a few moments, so then because even in the BGT the games were closer.
Sorry, which one are you talking about?
The 21 one. That's
This
what
one.
Soup is also mentioning.
Ah, okay, fair.
When you're beating Australia with your second string, because that is similar to what New Zealand had. They did not have Kane Williamson. I mean, imagine we have not even discussed that they did not have Kane Williamson in this lineup. And it's still, they did not even miss him. They did not have to do an SOS to somebody else. So, I mean, I'll put it right up top. I don't think it's not just about how anybody did not see it coming. It is, to me, it is still the mannerism in terms of how convincing this win was. And that I think takes the top kick for me, which is that.
Yeah, Om Prakash Dash pointing out that Sri Lanka beat South Africa 2-1 in that, and the Pranavandan correcting Bish saying that was a 1-1 draw. And that was in Zimbabwe. To be fair, wouldn't have been an upset, Bish. I mean, no, I know Zimbabwe cricket at the
by
time
2013, Zimbabwe were
in the doldrums. Maybe. I mean, I agree with you.
Pakistan does that for world cricket, but still not as bad as losing. I mean, 18 home series wins and then.
Yeah,
sure. I want to say one thing which is a positive here, which is the fact that we are so disappointed by this series loss after so many years tells you what we as Indian fans now expect from our team, right?
But
loss after 18 back-to-back series.
Isn't it fair to expect that?
Yeah, it is, but I'm saying that's the privileged position that we are in. And that's what this team has given us in terms of joy and consistency over all these years. That this loss after 18 series is a big deal to us, right? And we feel so bad about this one loss after 18 years, 18 series, 12 years, whatever. In the last 20 years, we've only been beaten, 3 times? England, South Africa, and Australia, 1 series each, right? And all those were... The England series was KP's masterclass. I mean, it's you don't mind losing to that. The Australian team that beat us was the best of their time. The South African team that beat us in 2003 or 4, whatever it was a team that didn't lose an away series in some 2 years. They had some
exactly why this hurts. But that's exactly why this should sting the most. That this is not even the best ever Test side.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, this side could not win 2 tests over 69 years. And you have ended up losing 2 to them in a span of 2 weeks. This after doing Kanpur. See, I'm not saying, Kanpur was path-breaking. It was great that you were able to force a result. But, I mean, I think more than even the team, to me, it is still the manner in which you lost.
I agree. I agree with Nix because that's a manner. It's the fact that they've been outplayed, out-tactic, outgunned in all departments, but also with how much baggage New Zealand had as an away test playing nation. Bish, let me give you another stat. Since 2000, New Zealand have won an away series of 3 matches or more once. Since 2000, once. So that's 2014 against West Indies. And that depleting West Indies, with all due respect, I think it was a Darren Sammy side with had Dinesh Ramdin and the likes of them. But I was kind of penning down some facts of why this was the biggest upset. And if you guys are just joining us right now on the Monday Night Live, please like this video and tell a friend and comment below and answer this question right now. Please answer this question. I'll shout your answers out in the comments. I will give you 9 reasons. First up, New Zealand, like Nick's mentioned, have taught India for 69 bloody years. Haven't won. They finally won. New Zealand haven't won a single away series since the WTC inception also, by the way, which I pointed out. New Zealand lost the toss in the opening test series, which is always pivotal. New Zealand were without their GOAT, Kane Williamson. New Zealand had Santner, who had just one fifer in all the tests that he played. So not good spinner.
First-class cricket. In all the first-class cricket. He had a 3-for in test, which was the best.
Exactly. They were on the decline with Saudi going away, and then they did it with a new captain. They beat an Indian team. Remember, when we look back in 20, 30 years, this team had Ashwin, Jadeja, Rohit, Kohli, Bumrah, Pant. So arguably one of the best teams on paper. And they lost to Sri Lanka, like we pointed out, 2-0. And look at the captains, right? Tom Latham kind of succeeds in that regard. I don't think Steve Smith, Joe Root, who else? Graham Smith, think he won a test series as a captain. But there were so many captains who've come and gone who couldn't win. Ponting, do we give him the credit of winning a series in Nick? Because technically Gilchrist, right?
He was captain for the 4th test only. The first 3 tests was Gilchrist.
And another left-handed captain. So since 2000, India have just lost its left-handed captains, which is bizarre. Let me just quickly take some comments right now.
New Zealand. Sorry, then I see Travis Head becoming captain for Australia in 2025.
Not tell me. We'll also talk about a lot of captaincy talks. Shanto might want to forfeit captaincy apparently. There's no captain mentioned for the Australia T20s against Pakistan. I think Tim Payne has said Matthew Short has a good captaincy potential there. And we'll also talk about how Kirsten got the sack, Rizwan's new captain in ODIs, and the best of the rest in just a minute. We'll just take a couple of your comments right now. The truth is the same New Zealand lost to the Sri Lanka because the Sri Lankan batters are far better players of spin and they batted out New Zealand out of the game. Yeah, Kamindu Witness was just absolutely brilliant. I think the Pune type loss has always been on the cards in every series India plays at home of late. The Bangalore one dented India more, in my opinion. Else it would have been 2-1 again and everyone would have moved on. Good points there. X Facto, if you're new to the channel, good to see you. And he says, guys, if Virat doesn't score well in the BGT, then I think he should take retirement because I can't see my childhood hero like this, man. And I fully empathize with you. And I said my piece about Virat X Factor. If you want to rewind, we started this show, I think, 803, 804. So just go check out that because I mentioned how he could potentially start his comeback. Om Prakash being rather chatty, saying, sorry, maybe I'm wrong in my assessments, but some of the senior players in the series look disinterested and taking New Zealand lightly. I hope that's not the case. Sometimes fans could, of course, point at various reasons. I think, look, let's give them credit. They're all professional. I don't think they would be complacent or that would have any effect of it. Sandeep asking...
One quick point there. They may not have been complacent, but when you're playing against a player whom you rate, there's that extra edge which you have, right? When you're playing against a Shane Warne or when you're in Australia playing Pat Cummins and Hazelwood, there's an extra edge, a level of being charged up that brings the best out of you. Not to say that they took New Zealand lightly, but that extra edge would have been missing. They wouldn't have felt that extra competitive edge because it's a series you're expected to win against opposition that's not the highest quality. So they may have been lacking that edge.
Yeah, I think that's the way to kind of sum it up better, I guess. The fact that they just didn't have that execution when it came to it. And sometimes, even if you just look at that Rohit Sharma dismissal, not the one that he lost his off stump to Saudi, which is absolutely hilarious, but the fact that he was just outmaneuvered by Santner in that second innings, which is ridiculous. Avnish Bro, I'm an old viewer. Priyanshu, I've just changed my name. You keep changing your name, Priyanshu, but good on you. Please like this video and tell a friend about it. And for the rest of y'all, look, we encourage comments. That's why it's interactive. It's an engagement show, so keep your comments coming through. Noodle Hacks with Vasan saying, guys, give it a thought if it's a whitewash. I don't think... When was the last time India got whitewashed at home?
To South Africa, 2000. But I don't think India has... Yeah, and I don't think India have ever been whitewashed 3-0. I could be wrong, but I don't think India have ever been whitewashed 3-0. So.
Yeah, maybe by the West Indies in the 80s, I can imagine it. But yeah.
Yeah. I still did not at home. But
very serious to them. Yeah. No, we've lost some 4 or 5 series to them at home. So it's possible one of those was a whitewash, but it'll be good to know.
Yeah. No one expected that streak to be broken by New Zealand out of all teams. So the fact is that that if any team could have done it, it has to be Bangladesh, New Zealand, such teams who play 3 test series, right? Same Pranav Anand. Guys, let's just give it a thought to this. Yeah, we just took that one. Shobh Agarwal, 6 similarities between 2004 Australia, 2012 and 2024. We pointed that out. Indeed, all Maharashtra. And Aspit saying, I want to ask why the less chat about Rohit's form. There should be talks about dropping him also, even though he's captain. I fully agree with you, Aspit Bhai, and subscribe and like us if you are new. But my point in Rohit is that, look, man, I've had my piece in various live shows before and watch-alongs. The word intent just gets used way too much in Rohit's favor. The fact that he's a captain, he gets away with it a lot. Sure, he must have won 5 IPLs as an IPL captain, but he's devoid of ideas as a test captain. At times, he says that he is more proactive. Sometimes I'm thinking it's the first session of the fucking test and he's having a bloody long off. How can a captain be so defensive? And we talk about comparisons with Virat and Rohit. So look, if I speak, I'm in trouble. And I don't want to, of course, channel my inner Jose Mourinho. Speaking of which, I'm sad that Ten Hag got the sack. We'll speak about that in the fag end of the show. None of that Man United stuff right now. Should Rohit resign if we lose the BGT as well? We'll speak about the BGT right now then, guys, and the WTC permutations, combinations next, because it just makes you think, can India still make it to Lords? I think they need to win, of course, 5 out of 7 games or 4 out of 6 or whatever it is, but we'll just tell you the scenarios. Now, if India lose in Mumbai, win the BGT 3-2, now our producer is ambitious with this, and Australia beat Sri Lanka 2-0, then India's PCT will be 58.77 and Australia's 60.52. So that'll be interesting. But if India, of course, win in Mumbai and win the BGT, then you look at that PCT and how it jumps to 64%. So there's a lot of permutation combinations. One thing is for sure, though, even though we have the second page of India's scenarios, if they win 4-0 in terms of BGT, I know it's wishful thinking and it's bloody ambitious. There is nothing which will stop us going to Lords. Similarly, when we take a look at some of the permutation combinations for the other teams, if Sri Lanka win all their 4 tests, if South Africa win all their 5 tests, they do go to Lords no matter what happens in those other games. I mean, I know Sri Lanka and South Africa play off each other, so they'll be cancelling out there. But guys, again, coming to y'all, out of the contenders, Bish, I'll start with you. What is it going to be? WTC Final 2025.
I have to say it's going to be South Africa, Australia. Because I think South Africa are best placed to make it above India and Australia, right? Because they have a game to go against Bangladesh. They look good playing in Bangladesh. And then they have 2 home series against teams that travel very poorly. They have 2 against Sri Lanka and 2 against Pakistan. They're the team with the best chance of winning all their remaining games, right? So there's a good chance they will win 5 out of 5, which puts their PCT at close to 70, and nobody can cross that, right? So I think South Africa have the best chance of making it, and then one of India or Australia have to fight for that second spot. And it's actually great the BGT is happening right now, because it's really a matter of the better team going through, because both teams who have to claim that second spot play each other. So, I mean, honestly, I can't see with this Indian team us winning 2 tests in Australia. I think the pace bowling attack that we're going with now is worse than what we've had in the last couple of tours. Without Shami and out of form Siraj, you really have just Bumrah, and you can't win a test series based on one bowler, right? Your backup pace attack is Prasidh Krishna, who's number 4. So this is not a pace attack with which you expect to win series in Australia. And by chance, if Bumrah gets injured early in the series, the doors are shut. Then there is no way out of the series. It's a
Bish, hold on, pause there. You jump in the gun because you're
if that happens, it's
I want you to
zero,
and I want you to have a piece in it. But just to finish up on this all these other teams, right? Because I know India, and I want to get your BGT prediction because I've obviously ruled India out of Lords. So what do you think will happen? Let's start with Bangladesh, South Africa, for example. It starts tomorrow. You think they can actually get the job done there? I know they got the job done earlier in the week, but Chattogram, do you think Bangladesh could probably just be party poopers or no?
I mean, of course, they could be. I mean, they almost beat India and Chattogram a few years ago, which I was watching live at the ground, by the way. And Siraj and Ashwin had to bail them out. Uh, but I mean, it's not conditions that are ridiculously spin friendly. That's not the way Bangladesh makes their pitches either, right? So you're going to have fairly competitive pitches, and it's a fairly good South African team. You'd expect them to come through. I really would. So I really think South Africa will win 5 out of 5 tests that they have remaining. The contender we haven't spoken about is New Zealand, but they just have too much to do. I mean, beating India again at the Wankhede itself is going to be hard, and then to beat England 3-0, everything's possible, but this is highly, highly unlikely. I can't see that happening. I can't see Sri Lanka winning test matches in South Africa. So it's really only 2 out of 3 teams that will make it, which is between Australia, South Africa, and India. And yeah, between those three, I'm saying India is not going to make it.
South Africa, Australia, Lords next. Does that ring well for you, or do you think again there could be another contender in the mix?
No, it rings well. Graham Smith ringing the bell there just before the start of play, and then South Africa going on to win to avenge their 2024 loss in both the formats of the T20 World Cups. You heard it here. We have a clipping ready. 55 minutes, 50 seconds. Shaunak, please mark this out, because if India is not doing it,
5-5-5-5.
5-5-5-5. Perfectly well done, and it'll be a good character arc. Shubh Agarwal will be also happy. So let's do it for the greater good then, if not India. I completely agree with this that South Africa at this point of time are really best placed to make the most of it. And I'll also take this moment to genuinely apologize to all the people who have tuned in the past and asked us for our WTC final predictions. And we have shamelessly kept saying, India Australia hi hoga, bro. There is no chance any other team can come close, because you look at the fixtures. Where will India lose? Now I know where India will lose. So I am sorry for being so confident that India will make it to the Dutch. They can still make it. But now they'll have to do something really special. So if they do it, credit to them. But I don't see anybody else. So for you to think that Pakistan can surprise South Africa is tough, because they like to do it on spinning decks. That's what they did to England at home. Now Sri Lanka again, yes. But the bowling can still do the job. But can they have another Kusal Perera? I don't know. So that is where I feel South Africa are better placed, because they don't even have others who can take points off them. So that is why I feel, because India Australia have that disadvantage as well, because they will play each other. So one of them could cancel each other out. So that is there. And if you are losing to this New Zealand with this preparation at home, let's be very, very mellow about the BGT expectations there.
Okay, let's see. Nikhil defending his takes better than Kohli defending spin, saying Alan June.
Thank you.
And please God, Bumrah injured, India gone. No one can save that test. Heavenly powers.
Look, I have already reversed it. I have already reversed it by saying he's not doing his Air Khan 27. I've done this. This is done.
But look, it just makes you think about the miracles in sport, because all the kind of batters and bruises that we endured as an Indian team that we got last time, we still won the series. No, I 100% agree with him. If Bumrah wrote, or even Kohli, it's done, dusted them. We're so much relying on these players. But again, like I said, we didn't have all those players the last time. I mean, we had a few of them, but you look at that last day chase again, go back, watch the highlights of Gabba and the Brisbane day 5, because I think we lost Rohit early. We needed someone like Pujara to, of course, bat for a while. After, I think, lunch or just before lunch, he was about 8 of 97 balls or something. We need someone like that if we ever are going to make a case in the BGT this time around. Speaking of which, let's finally address the squad, because lots of people are having their opinions about it. Now, it does look something like this. In case you guys have been living under a rock, I will read out the names. Rohit Sharma, captain. Jasprit Bumrah, vice captain. Rohit will miss the first test. That's what we understand right now. There's Jaiswal, there's Easwaran named as a backup opener. Gill continues to be there, and he had a fair gig last time around. We'll come to him in a bit. Kohli, KL, Pant, Sarfraz. Jurel is there as backup wicketkeeper. Ashwin, Jadeja picked themselves. Siraj, Akashdeep, Prasidh, Harshit, Nitish Kumar Reddy, and Washington Sundar, who was there, of course, in that Gabba chase of 362, whatever it was. Right. First and foremost, Nix, I'll come to you here. Thoughts on India's squad for the BGT? The obvious is no Shami, no Kuldeep, no Party.
I don't think there was any much room left also for us to have a surprise in there in terms of inclusion. If you felt there was somebody missing, again, Kuldeep was the first name we all wanted to see, but then you had that note at the bottom which said that he had to be out there. Yeah, Akshar Patel is probably the only guy who people wondered, but I think Sundar had set his place well after that performance in Pune because you saw what he could do with that bounce with his side, and if he can remain fit, so I think because he can also bat well versus pace, so I feel that's where he could have probably edged out Akshar Patel. Any which ways to start, even if Akshar was part of the squad. So that way, hardly any surprises. Happy that you have Nitish Reddy as well, and Eastern is finally going. I don't know if he'll get a game, but I want to see what they do with Harshit Rana. He's the one guy that I feel can provide you with that X factor because you have to remember your second pacer still is Siraj. And I am really not sure with Siraj in terms of his confidence and how his game is. So the one thing that I have been thinking about this BGT for a while is in the last two BGTs, if you see, the people who stepped up were the people who, as Bishop rightly said, they had that competitive edge to earn their spot. Whether it is Gill, whether it is Washington Sundar, whether it is Rishabh Pant, whether it is T. Natarajan, Siraj as well. Everybody had something to play for. And I think that was a very big catalyst, along with, yes, Cheteshwar Pujara doing well, Rahane scoring, Virat having his bit, Rohit doing his bit. But the bit is your impact knocks, your impact performances came for people who were very, very hungry to go out there and perform. So to me, my expectations at this point of time are very, not I would say very big, but they are from somebody like a Jaiswal, somebody like a Pant who's going to be on his second tour. That now I want to see if he can really continue to do what he did because trust me, Australia is not going to take this by any means of imagination lightly. They won't care if New Zealand have beaten India. They have been hurt twice at home, and they are going to be very, very hungry for blood, if you want to put it that way, because Australia don't lose at home often. They've lost two series back to back to India, being completely outplayed. So, yes, they don't have Green. Yes, they have problems with Smith's form and Paja's opening partner. But India's bowling is such, it doesn't give you that confidence. But I'm all for new scripts and new heroes. But still, my expectations will be mellow. But yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, there's
And
no
they haven't
doubt.
won in India either. That's 10 years of
Yeah,
no BGT for them.
yeah.
Exactly. The Australian team, I mean, we don't need to tell you all that they're not hungry for this one. I think Nathan Lyons come out in the podcast saying, final, mate, we're going to see you there. And we love that attitude from the Australians. That's why it's even sweeter when we beat them and hopefully it's a hat trick of wins. It just makes you think about that middle order because a lot of people are saying KL to do the Pujara role. He's the most technically equipped for that. Bishan, do you agree or disagree? Because look, Pujara, let me just give you some numbers. 11 tests in Australia, right? He scored close to 1,000 runs, 993 runs. In 25 innings or 22 innings or whatever he's played in those 11 tests, 2,600 plus balls in Australia. So the fact that he's just been able to bore the shit out of them, to put it in a layman sense. And you look at that Adelaide win that we got 2018, it was down to Pujara and him kind of just biding his time over there. So out of the current crop, can anyone replicate what Pujara has done in previous tours down under? Do you think it could be someone like KL? Because Gill averages 50 plus as it stands right now in his early career in Australia. Pant, we know he's an explosive player. So are you looking automatically at KL? But he's not even in the test team right now. So how do they all play out this puzzle?
Yeah, see, we had a Pujara who could play that role. That was great. But I don't think anybody in this 11 naturally play that way. Uh, KL seems to do it when we don't want it. But I don't think anybody naturally plays that way. And so I don't think they should try. For Pujara to do what he did, even he struggled to do that in the later part of his career. Right? It's extremely hard to play that many balls consistently and not make a mistake. And if you do play those many balls and then make a mistake, it looks much worse. Right? When you score 8 of 90 and then score 60 of 220, there's a romantic story about it. Like Avnish, you brought it up 6 years later. But if you score 8 of 90 and then score 9 of 100 and get out, right? That's not a position you want to be in. So I don't think there's anybody who's got that much confidence in their defense that you will keep doing it. And Pujara, the reason Pujara got dropped was what? Because Pujara couldn't do Pujara. Right? Why did he get dropped the last 2 years of his career? Is because he would score 8 of 80 and then score 9 of 100. And then we were like, we don't want this. The point of cricket is scoring runs, and you can't score runs. You can't play time either. Right? So it's an extremely hard skill, which he did for many years very well. But I don't think any of our guys can do it.
The thing is, he had to do that role. The way I see it is that you always have flamboyant star flair players around you, right? And even in that Brisbane chase that I keep bringing it up, you look at how he kind of glued that partnership with Gill together. Gill was just, of course, I feel like a rabbit in front of the headlights still in his test career. He still had a unibrow. He still didn't have a bat sponsor. And he was a gun player going out there, taking stock and comments to all parts of the ground. My point is, who's going to be that Pujara right now? The only person I can think
nobody,
of...
Nobody. Nobody. We don't need... There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Fair. But if you had to mold someone that they pick the squad, who can do this? Gambhir would probably go to one of these guys and be like, listen, put all the noise aside.
I think the guy with the tightest defense to be able to do it is KL, but I don't think he can do it anywhere near as well as Pujara could do it in his prime. And therefore, I don't think anybody should be molded, and no one should be told to play that way. You can win a test. That game that you keep coming back to, the Gabba game. If we had 2 Pujaras in our team, we had lost that game, and there's no way we're winning. I mean, maybe we drew that game, but there is no way we would have won that game with 2 Pujaras. We could have had 1 Pujara at most, and that 1 Pujara played a rollicking innings that day of 60 of 220 balls, right? And therefore we got home, but we couldn't have had 2 of him. We just couldn't have. So I don't think we need to try to make players play in that mold. You could have, if somebody played a Sarfraz kind of knock instead of Pujara on that day and it came off and scored 60 of 120 balls, we may still have won, right? So it could have happened other ways. It would have all have been extremely hard, but you could have won that game other ways.
So my point is fine, and chat's pointing it out as well. The fact that we can't compare people like KL to Pujara because he's the GOAT in Australia and all of that. It's just a constant theme based. The fact that 2020, 2018, and potentially the 2003 series, arguably with Dravid and Lakshman, their heroics there, it was all about attrition. It was all about biding your time as middle order batters, top order batters, and just dying out the Australian pacers. Even if we don't have a Pujara, someone just needs to play situationally. That's my point. I know there's various ways to skin a cat. Down under, when teams go there and conquer invariably, this is one of the pillars of success, right? You think about having a real gritty top order batter who's going to be like nothing over my dead body type. So do you think this BGT squad, which you just showed, is anyone willing to kind of make themselves of that to potentially get the hat trick of series of wins?
I think we have players to play attritional cricket like Kohli and Rohit, who could do it, and Ashwin also, I would imagine, if he's playing. So I think, and you don't need multiple players of this nature. You only need a couple, and I think we have a couple. The brand of cricket we play is not attritional cricket. That's just not Indian team style anymore. So we need to have enough players to play an attacking brand of cricket, which we do. And I think we have enough players in there to, play balanced sessions if needed. If you ask Yashasvi and Pant to hang around, it may not happen. But if you have Kohli batting with one of them, a better chance that you could, have a sensible session somewhere there.
Yeah, because Nick, even if you look at it, Rohit, we've known how he's been Mr. Intent, even though his last 100 in India was what? The 2023 against Australia, Delhi, or one of his last 100s. Basically, he actually took his time, which is something that I actually like Rohit taking and doing. Hopefully, he does that in the BGT as well. So I'm just trying to understand in terms of the attacking mindset and the defensive mindset players. Do you think we have one too many attacking mindset players? I know it's still early days, the BGT, the third test, the series is still there to go on. But really quickly, who can be that player that is just going to be the glue around this batting order? Or do you think we don't need someone like that, like Bish pointed out?
I feel we'll need not just one, a couple of them. And again, the point here is not about just the glue but you will need somebody to bat time, because it's a 5-match series. If you completely take away the fact that if you don't get the point here is not to bat for 100 overs and score 200. Yes, I want the team to score 350 maybe in 100 overs, but you will need people to bat long, and that I think is something in the recent past we've seen Jaiswal do it enough against England. We saw Sarfaraz Khan do it, Rishabh Pant did it. But in Australia, it's not going to be easy to replicate it when you are batting at the top of the order. So I just opened the West Indies test that they had against Brisbane, and you had two people batting at strike rate of 36 and 50, playing over 150 balls. I think in Australia, you will need people to bat decent amount of time. Now, I am completely fine if you
And
get
who is that?
50.
Blackwood and Hodge. Who's that?
So it was Kevin Hodge and Joshua De Silva.
Okay.
They both got good 70s, which helped them firstly post 311 again in 108 overs. The thing why 2018 and everybody else, every other series works is you have to also remember Australia are a team who like to use the same set of people. So if you keep bowling them into the ground, it helps your team. I think it's a very important aspect of touring sides as well, that you have to be able to make it difficult for the opposition by batting time. So that is something that I'm very interested to looking at. That will Rohit go back to his 2021 ways? Will India be happy to see Virat taking time? As we said, yes, I don't want an 80 from 60, but 10 from 40 is okay. I don't think we need to be worrying or worrying कि भाई ये intent नहीं दिखा रहा. So that is what I'm very keen to see. How do India find that tempo? Because if you look at that middle order, KL, yes, he'll play for defense, but you will want runs also. So that pairing is going to be very important. That how are you pairing? Because Gill, to me, this series, entire BGT will be massive on two people, Gill and KL Rahul. If Gill can score runs and KL Rahul can score runs, I am fine with whatever role everybody else plays because I trust them to do their job. But to me, Gill and Rahul occupy two of the most crucial spots that are there in a test side. Going away, because you could come in very early, I need you to put the attack to the opposition because that is how they are playing. They're playing shots. So that is something that I'm very keen to see. How do they play as a unit? Because I personally feel they will have to bat time. You cannot just... And I don't think the pitch is, like we said, good to play, right? You will need 450. For 450, you will not want 60-70s or aggressive 60-70s. You will want people to bat 120, 130, 140, and then you can have others chipping in. So I think it will not be easy, but it is never supposed to be easy if you're playing in Australia that way. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why those two stars. Sorry?
I think that is the argument that you have. How will Sarfaraz start? I would imagine Sarfaraz would have to start.
Where? In BGT? I think so. I don't think he merits it.
I'm okay, but the catch
BGT,
there is...
Depending on how the last test in this series goes.
Because you have Pant, Sarfaraz and Jadeja. That could go either ways. So you'll have to figure a way out to just get that tempo right.
And there is a case to play two spinners as well. But look, I mean, I know the BGT is still a far time away. I say that we're just 3-4 weeks away, but we'll probably do a Monday Night Live on it. Before we kind of move on to other topics, keep your comments come through. Good to see Pava saying Shubman Gill needs to perform well in the BGT. Either he will be considered the future superstar or be just an average player, as it's his second time in Australia. His numbers are so good so far in Australia, Pava. Chandan and Ramaya saying everyone's talking about KL. What about Sarfaraz? Look, Sarfaraz is a great talent to just have in the test team right now, but he'll get his chance, he'll get his time, and he'll take his chance for sure if he hasn't already. I think KL is that glue saying Damodar Bala. If he doesn't perform in the series, sorry to say, but he's gone in the eyes of the Indian team and the fans. And more comments we will take in just a bit. Sorry, Sagnik, and I think Sharia Patak pointed that out to me. Rohit did get hundreds against England as well. My bad about that. But what I liked in that Delhi Test 100 against Australia was that he bided his time. He didn't just go crash, bang, and wallop. So let's move on right now and talk about various other things which are making news in the cricketing world, including MS Dhoni, Gary Kirsten, and a certain Mohammad Rizwan too. Let's get on to best of the rest. Right, let's start with the IPL news really quickly because I know LSG have just mentioned their detentions and the boys will be doing a proper live because the deadline is 5 p.m. October 31st for all the IPL teams to have their detentions in. LSG have gone on to confirm this three of them, Nicholas Puran, Mayank Yadav, and Ravi Bishnoi. This news came out earlier in the evening. They've gone for two more uncapped players in Badoni and Mohsin Khan. So watch that space closely. We will, of course, speculate whether KL is going to RCB, but one thing is for sure is that he will be in the auction if he's not going to be retained. So that makes you think Pant, KL, potentially Rohit in the auction. That's going to be some auction altogether. Bish and Nix, quickly on these pointers and the best of the rest, because there's so much to talk to you guys about in terms of all the rest of the world cricket chat. Are you happy with this from an LHC perspective? Bish and first and then Nix?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. I haven't been a fan of KL, the T20 batsman, now for a couple of years. And I completely understand LSG's decision here. I guess it's also best for, especially after comments they made, 2 days back on the lines that the games where KL has batted long, they've lost. I mean, you can't make a comment like that about your captain and then keep him in any case. And I don't think that captain will want to be in that team. So, and I think this is a good wake-up call for KL as well, because he always strongly believed in the fact that, you don't need to play a certain way to be effective in T20 cricket. The reality is the world has changed a fair bit and there is no scope to bat at 120 in T20 cricket. Virat Kohli bats at 140 in T20 I's and still gets a lot of flack, right? So you have to be basically trying to bat at 160 all the time. And if you fail, we'll accept 130. But you can't be trying to bat at 120, 130, which is what KL seems to do. And especially in the case of KL, we know he has all the shots. He's as talented as anybody in the country. He can play shots anywhere. He has so much time and power, but he chooses to play a certain way, which I think ticks people off even more. If it was somebody without the ability, you may accept it. But this is a guy he's holding himself back in a format where you want him to let go, which is just not acceptable in today's T20 cricket where we've reached. So I honestly don't think KL will go for a whole lot of money in the auction. I have a feeling I will be wrong about this, but let's say I don't think he should go for a whole lot of money in the auction. This is the more correct way of saying it. I think he will go for a lot of money, but I don't think he should.
So that means next, then what? The RTM KL. Imagine that if LSG RTM KL.
And KL is like, no, cut it. I don't want the RTM.
Oh, I'm getting out of your franchise. But I mean, just going back to Bish, because you're an RCB fan, I think you'd like the sound of that KL to RCB, because that's what's making the news.
I hate to say this, my number one team is Chennai, number two team is RCB.
I think I walked into that. Anyway, speaking of Chennai, let's talk about MS Dhoni next. And Bish, because we're really in the interest of time. I have so many things to get through. So CSK next, and what Dhoni said in some event in Goa that he'd like to play for a few more years. First of all, what is it? Next, can you be less cryptic and break it down? Does he mean IPL or golf or paddle, like I said at the top of the show?
See, he's clarified years only for Akshay. Akshay was wondering how many years, which year, this year, that year. Dhoni's like, dude, don't worry, years. Go enjoy. So I think he's made it as evident as he can be. And as at uncapped at 4 CR, you don't mind if he goes after one season. So I think that way you get decent amount of money back as well. And if he's fit enough, we don't know. So I'm very happy if he's able to keep, because then that will allow them to keep Rachin, which I think is very, very important. I don't think they'll retain Rachin. They'll retain just Gaikwad, Pathirana and Ruturaj. You'll have MS, which means you have two options as people that you can attain, if I'm not wrong. So then you can easily buy back maybe Shivam and Rachin in that aspect. So that is my bit.
Bish, what are your thoughts about MS?
Isn't Conway a priority pick for CSK?
No. Maybe
not. After what you've
my
seen,
thoughts about MS, very hard to get in.
Go on.
Go on.
Yeah, no, I would love MS to play for a few more years. It sounds like he wants to play for a few more years. And by all accounts, the way he played last year, he seems fit enough to play for a few more years. If his knee holds up. So why not? It would be fun to have MS in the game, and if it makes commercial sense for teams, clearly the IPL wants him to play as well. They've changed the rule because big draw and whatnot. So if it makes commercial sense and he's available, great for the game. Please play. We'd love to see MS. I just want to add of CSK's retentions. I think Conway is more likely retention than Rachin, if you ask me, because one, his track record playing T20 cricket and his performance for CSK, he's done it a few times and he's got a body of work which Rachin doesn't. And I don't think Rachin is an automatic T20 player. I don't think, even based on the evidence that we saw last year, he's not cut out for the format. He adapts to the format, but I don't think he's cut out for the format. So yeah, I'd pick Conway over Rachin.
Okay, interesting over there. Guys, by the
he's
way,
filled up. Sorry, he's filled up for Akshay brilliantly because he has the exact same take on Rachin. So well done, Vishnu.
Yeah, but he has a very opposite take of what Akshay had to MS Dhoni, because he felt that Dhoni should have retired in 2013 or something like that, which is bizarre. But guys, please like this video, because I've realized that so many of you guys are watching, but there's just about 30 likes or 29 likes or whatever like that. So quickly, we will take all your questions as well. Good to see Neural Hacks with a couple of cheeky comments. Lots of people saying KL will go for 12 crores max, saying Nitin Muthuraman, or 20 plus at least, saying Chandan. I mean, variety of calls over there. Ravana Kiran saying KL to CSK is a real possibility. Oh my word, that would be something indeed. And more comments that we can take indeed. But look, let's just quickly talk about Pakistan cricket, because they have been making the news for all the right or wrong reasons. First and foremost, Mohammad Rizwan has been appointed as their vice captain. Unfortunately, Babar Azam won't play Zimbabwe. That's the sad news coming out of this week 7L, because we all love that particular banter with Zimbabwe and Babar and Pakistan fans and all of that stuff. But guys, really quickly, what do you make of Pakistan's cricketing landscape right now? Because so much has happened. They've sacked Gary Kirsten. They won a series against England. 2 spinners have come out from nowhere. They found a Babar replacement in Test cricket. And you look at even some of the things coming out from the PCB chairman, Mohsin Naqvi, about what he said about Fakhar Zaman, and he can't tolerate tweets about the selection committee. So there's a lot of things to get into. I wish we could do a whole PCB Pakistan MNL with the Pakistan fans. We don't have that. Bish, quickly, if you had to just look from the outside and assess it, what is going on there for you?
I mean, it's a confused setup. I think this Test series victory will paper over the cracks a little bit. They have something to celebrate, and well done to them, to be fair. But there are too many issues in Pakistan cricket, whether it's player selections, player fitness, whether it is maintaining consistency, even in terms of your administration. There's just too much that's wrong for you to be a consistently good cricketing nation. You can't have even the selection captaincy going back to Rizwan. It's a step backward, right? Rizwan is a guy that you wanted to drop from all formats not so long back. How can things change so much that you now want him to be your captain? You have to think of moving forward. That this is every time there's an issue, you try and fix it. It's like the potholes in Bangalore. You see it today, you fill it up, and then there's another pothole again in 3 days. That's exactly how Pakistan cricket is. It's a bunch of potholes they keep trying to fill and don't succeed. And I know maybe it seems a bit harsh, but I can't think of a good thing to say apart from the fact that they found a few decent cricketers over the last couple of weeks. And hopefully they're here to stay. But knowing how the administration is and the way they treat their players, they will most likely run into lack of confidence and injuries due to bad management, and they'll be out of the picture in a year. I'm hoping for better, but I don't have much hope.
Interesting, because Gary Kirsten's got the sack, like that lower band says there, without even getting an ODI. And I thought he was being literally picked to build his team for the Champions Trophy 2025. But clearly, things have gone pear-shaped. And I generally feel they've taken the selection powers away from Jason Gillespie as well. So lots to look into there. And Pakistan cricket right now, yes, they have the white ball tours of Zimbabwe and Australia coming up. They're building towards the Champions Trophy, which is at home. It's an ICC event that they've had after ages. So they'd want to, of course, perform well. Maybe it's a wicketkeeper who won for them last time in terms of the Champions Trophy. So they're going that route. And I think they still have a tri-series as well lined up prior to that Championship Trophy with New Zealand and South Africa. But all said and done, Knicks, what's their near future predictions? Because you watch a lot of cricket, let alone Pakistan cricket. What can you see in the white ball era under Rizwan? They've gone for, of course, Salman as his deputy. Do you like the fact that they've gone past Ifti Chacha? There's no Nawaz, there's no Shadab, there's no people like that. So it's a new, rejuvenated Pakistan. Are you positive or are you negative from the outside?
I don't think I have a very strong feeling either side. I only hope is under the last keeper that they won, as you mentioned, Sarfaraz Ahmed. They found a very good template to play T20 cricket, which is why helped them stay at the top for a decent amount of time. So I'm just genuinely hoping that Rizwan can tie that up with Jason Gillespie and they can find a pattern like they did with Chan Masood, that we have identified this is the type of cricket that we want to play, these are the type of players that we want to pick, and you go ahead and see. Because in Pakistan cricket, it is futile trying to even predict how they will go. Because you do not know. Babar Azam was dropped after one test. You have absolutely no idea. I mean, Jason Gillespie just a week prior was like, dude, I am just a match day expert or something like that. Match day analyst or something. And now he's part of your white ball setup as well. You can't make any sense of it. But jokes apart, the only horrible joke that I had when they made Rizwan captain was, I don't know how will Rizwan convince himself to take DRS. Because he's the last person that I trust to take any DRS calls. I'm like, he takes the call, catch it. Oh, dude, I only have to review now. I'm not sure whether that had the edge or not. So that's just Pakistan cricket sound. You can't predict. Let's just go with the flow.
Yeah, and it's almost like a game of musical chairs in terms of captains, because they went the Shaheen route after Babar, and Rizwan was the other guy in the room, which they couldn't miss. They won because pass bowlers went to entertain us. Now, 100%, we'll pick the positives out of that as well through some of the stats we'll show you right now. More comments to take this Pakistan chat and close it out. Gillespie is a match day strategist. Nahib Jadavit pulling the strings. I would like Shoaib Akhtar as Park head coach saying Tanan B. Potholes are there in every city. Bhai, leave Bengaluru for God's sake, saying Chandan to Bishan stake there. Pakistan cricket is a clown one day. They're celebrating Test victory, and next day their coach resigns. And Damodar saying, I think the good times begin with Pakistan cricket team. Politics have made the worst Pak cricket team. They're slowly crawling back. I mean, look, it's always good to see teams coming back from the doldrums. Shan Masood, all those tests that he lost, he finally won a series. And it's thanks to their spinners, because you look at what Sajid Khan, Noman Ali did, it's unbelievable in terms of how a pair has eaten an opposition alive in Test cricket. Sajid got a 10 for, which is a good club to be part of. Best bowling figures in a match in Rawalpindi in Tests. He's up there indeed. And the final Pakistan stat that we want to show you is this one. Damage controlled well. Most runs for Pakistan after the follow wickets. And they're right up there. So they did make it count indeed. A few more crazy stats available on the cricket.com carousel, such as this. Ben Stokes, all talk, no walk. I was going to say another C word, but let that be. But point being, if you like numbers, if you like data, if you like your cricket, and if you like hating England or Ollie Pope, go check out cricket.com, because there's plenty of things just like this. There's one more which caught my eye today, which is Rabada's 300th wicket. And of course, he'll feature in that Test match tomorrow. It was his first fifer in Asia, by the way, as well. So good on Rabada. Next, let me just quickly preview that game, even though we touched upon it in the WTC scenarios. Is it a straight 12-pointer, so to speak, for South Africa in the WTC tomorrow and in the 4 days which follows it?
Yeah, I think so. I think Chattogram, one of those good batting decks. I expect Bangladesh to also put up a better show, but I don't know how Nazmul Hussain Shanto will go. He wants to resign as a captain after this test. So you have absolutely no clue how that batting lineup is going to feature. They have a couple of guys who've done well against South Africa itself in the past. Chapman, that opener, had a century against them, but hasn't got a score. So very keen to see if they end up playing an extra, because they don't have Zakir Ali. So I don't know if they'll play their extra spinner, because Taijul did great, but he had very little support in that first test from Naeem Hassan. So they could have a debutant to a left-arm spinner if that is the case. South Africa could play Muthuswamy in that as an option if they want to drop a batter, because they might want a bit more bowling arsenal there. So should see South Africa win. Baki, after last week of Test cricket, it is better to not be too overconfident.
Yeah, indeed. Bangladesh, I mean, literally been hurt by some of the WTC results. They lost to India, of course. The most that they can make up ground on, I think, is third or fourth. But even the captaincy over there is looming large. Taijul Islam has put his name in the hat, left arm spinner there. Let's see if he gets the nod from the selectors. What else catches our eye this week? Let's quickly have that on display. South Africa, Bangladesh, like I said, tomorrow. And then India, New Zealand starts on Friday. I think I'll be around the Wankhede and at the Wankhede for that, doing fan camps. So go check out that content, and hopefully we can meet in flesh as well if you guys are joining in from Mumbai. Before I just close out the show, imagine if our team had played like this and said that we were pressing the end team, we would have been blasted our players with our results to show, saying, "Oh, Prakash, thank you for all your comments. I will take more right now." Women's cricket chat tells me my producer, India and New Zealand is going on the series 1-1. I saw a blinder from Radha Yadav. Go check that catch out. Another sensational grab from her. And of course, I know this is a New Zealand team which has just won the T20 World Cup, but it's a different format. And watch women's cricket, appreciate it. And even though you guys sometimes think women's cricket is crap, for a better term, we put out our latest sledge box. Go check it out, because this is what the boys said. Just
the weather behind me sums up the mood of Indian women's cricket team right now, not just because of their group stage exit in the World Cup, but there's lots to look forward to.
Even as a fan, I started watching women's cricket probably like 2017 onwards. It was Harmanpreet's heroics that took momentum or took the fan movement in me. But I guess this year that fan has died. That fan has died, and I'm being very honest.
One more thing, this time I'll explain you the trolling, because this time they really targeted fans. I don't think you're supposed to say you're a Nada fan or something like that, because see,
I get it.
If you are saying that, you have to back it up with the performance.
Now those indeed were some bold statements, and we can't blame them. And in this episode of Sledgebox, we're talking just that. Indian women's cricket and how much we love it, but also loathe it.
go check that out. It's a funny thing that I was wearing that exact sweater that I'm wearing for the Monday Night Live. It's not like I don't have fucking clothes. I do. It was just a bloody coincidence for sure. Speaking of women's cricket, Bish, I know I've kept you for far too long, but I have to ask you about the current climate of women's cricket and how you see it. I know the ODS is going on right now, and India have had a shambolic World Cup exit. So your 2 pence in that before I get Nix's thought on the WBBL.
So, as a whole, women's cricket needs to pull its socks up and improve quality. That's just the bottom line. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but other sports have done it. When you watch women's tennis or women's badminton, the quality is right up there. The women are playing at their physical maximum potential, right? They're fun sports to watch women play. When you watch women play cricket, the quality is not at the best that they can play in terms of tactics, in terms of skill. There's a long way for them to go for it to be entertaining, high quality cricket, right? There's obviously a difference in physicality between men and women, and that's fine, put that aside. But there are other sports where women have upped their game and closed the gap. In tennis, women make as much money as the men make at the Grand Slams, and a lot of that sure is the men's game funding the women's game to some level, but it's only being done because the women's game is drawing crowds, drawing people. You need the skills to be at that level, and women's cricket is not at that level. It needs, apart from Australia, who are head and shoulders above any other team, all the other teams have a long way to play catch up. If every team was playing at Australia's level, women's cricket would be popular, even in India, right? So I think that the sport needs a lot to do. It's up to the boards, the ICC, the national boards have a lot to do to up the quality of the game.
Interesting, because it just makes you think as a fan, where can India go? How long will it be when they win an ICC event? Harman is a very good player, but I'm sorry, captaincy is nowhere to be seen, saying Om Prakash Dash. Chandan Ramesh Expertise is having a bad run of form. And Santosh Shurpa saying no discussion of India's squad for T20 series with South Africa. We will talk about it. We wanted to basically do that in the next MNL, basically preceding the first T20, which starts on the 8th of November, I think. India land there only on the 4th of November. So we will get that indeed. Was that real weather? Was it VFX? Now, Bangalore weather, Chandan. Bangalore weather, man. Go check out that episode, though, indeed. The Women's Big Bash League next going on. Elise Perry obviously catches my eye nowadays because after she's been doing things for beloved RCB, she is, of course, on the Instagram feed. And what I caught of her recently, 81 not out of 38 balls in a chase. That must be mad. Is that the pick of the highlights so far in what's been a short WBBL?
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, Stokes can say, but we are actually privileged to watch Alice Perry play cricket. I'll go on and say that. And no qualms about it. Just her T20 story in itself is inspirational enough for you to take up and watching that sport. So hats off, and you can only be happy that you are able to see. And again, you had a hero there in terms of a 15-year-old ending up hitting the winning runs. So I'll not dwell more into those details. Please go and check the highlights out. And do check out today in the Hobart game. Lizelle Lee has pulled off an absolutely beaut of a stumping to stump Phoebe Litchfield, who again, absolute future superstar, scored her first 50 as captain. But Lizelle Lee's that stumping of Heather Graham, you'll not want to miss it. So please do check it out. Again, as Avnish said, very short tournament, but already some very good signs for you to just keep watching.
Yeah, early days, but again, lots to like. That one that he just mentioned there is definitely a must watch. And the 15-year-old goes by the name of Kaumi Bray. I hope I got that pronunciation right. She's still literally doing her school examinations and all that, but another fantastic story to emanate out of this sport. There is no How's That today, unfortunately, because Akshay's not there. So we thought of just using that time to elongate 12th man. But before that, we let Bishan go. On a parting note of the Ranji Trophy news, I just want to ask you about Harshit Rana, Bish, because now he's made some crazy sensational news in terms of not just on-field performances with his four furs, but also the fact that he's lost 17 kilos to prep himself for the BGT. He's really kind of banging the door down, even though he's not really made his test appearance yet. Do you foresee Harshit, and how do you foresee the Ranji landscape in the build-up to the BGT?
So he's been a really exciting talent. I mean, his career got a boost with the IPL last year, I think, and it's been all up all the way since then. Of course, leading up to the IPL as well, he played well, and that's how he got the break in the IPL. So his career has been on the upward trajectory. I'm very excited about Harshit Rana. The guy seems to have some real skill, quality, pace, all of that. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't think he will get to play the first 2-3 tests. It's unlikely that he will play. But it's a long series. There's a likelihood that people need rest. There may be a niggle. Hopefully nothing more serious than that. And players may have to be rotated. So there's, at least in the later part of the series, a reasonable chance that Harshit Rana will get a game in. And so it'll be fun to, see him on the pitch, 17 kilos lighter, whose nutritionist I should also meet.
Yeah, 100%. I generally feel that too. Bish, look, thank you so much for your time. You've been brilliant this entire evening. I know we've kept you for over 90 minutes, just like a football game. But we will see you shortly, and good luck with everything else, Bishan.
Not at all. My pleasure.
Perfect. Good on Bish for that. Let's get Bish removed and let's get straight into the 12th man segment with Nix, because plenty of questions came his way, and it's only fair that we give him all of them right now in this one. Right, lots to take. Nitin Muthuraman, go on.
Just one thing. When was the last time there were 2 CSK fans and 1 RCB fan in a frame? Trivia for you.
God, I cannot remember. When was the last time you and me were doing this? Just a duo.
MNL. We have done this before when Akshay wins an MNL.
Correct. September 18th, 2023. So that's pretty much what,
yes.
a year, a month.
Almost a year later.
Yeah, well done. So let's take the first one, 12th man. Nitin, ask us randomly. I think this is fan code, but just get VPN, mate. I don't know whether from a legal perspective I can tell you what my hack is or my jugaad is, but I figured it out. Go check it out. There's plenty of stuff to get into before the BGT. Guys, did you discuss Emerging Asia Cup? Of course. Forgot that. Afghanistan have some amazing cricketers coming through the conveyor belt. Nix, anyone that you liked or caught your eye?
Abdullah Ghazanfar had a brilliant game, even in the final. And Sadiqullah, bro, the way he smashed India's bowling, I think he has left a few scars out there. In
Yeah.
that game, the only quarrel that I have with that management is why would you not play Sai Kishore? Just answer me that. Everything else, I'm okay. You can do whatever you want. Open with Ramandeep Singh, open the bowling with Ayush Baduni. I don't care. Why would you not play Sai Kishore and play Rahul Chair, who's gone for 40 or even in that game? He hasn't had a good time, but I think the only thing that I can say is nothing emerged for India from that Asia Cup. Sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately, no puns there. Chandan Ramaya saying Indian women did disappoint us by not qualifying, but how many of us are talking about BCCI not having a series for the World Cup? The same happened for the men. Good points over there. There was one from who was it? Nikhil Baiju who asked us whether we would play. But I'll come to that. Butler has asked me, captain, asking Karan, no chance, not for me, not for me personally, 100%. I know people are saying different names, Faf again, KL, Markram.
Sorry, but I have also heard that Kohli is trying to convince RCB to retain Faf. Rumors, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do see that happening, to be fair. After all, it is not a cricket team, it is a social club, RCB. So 100% agree with Virat Kohli over there. One more question here. I think Nikhil Baju asking, should Ashwin start the BGT? Now, we'll, of course, break it down for you all as further as we go closer to the tournament. But I generally think right now he starts for me. It's a point that So mentioned in the first cricket.com live those guys did. And I think purely from a mind games perspective, you've got to have Ashwin. Even from a batting perspective, he's good, dude. He'll give you 25, 30, 40 gritty knocks out there. So Ashwin's just a guy you'd like to have in your team when you take on Australia in Australia. So that's my take on it. Next, what do you feel? Ashwin, all 5 tests, 3 tests, 1 test, 2 tests? How do you see it?
I don't see him starting, unfortunately. I had him in my starting 11, but given how he's bowled in this series, he hasn't looked in that rhythm. And I think that is scary because if he's the master of his own conditions and he's master of his tricks. But if he can't do it in India, he went for a very high economy rate. See, I can understand that he's a great and he'll obviously be challenged. And the last worst series that he had was also 2012 when India lost. But if Sundar has come good and Sundar can bat, I think India might go down that route as well. And so I think it could eventually come down between him and Sundar. And if they continue to want to have a left-hander who can bat down the order with no Kuldeep, it's difficult times then for Ashwin. If Ashwin bowls absolutely brilliant in the New Zealand game, goes on to have a great warm-up game, maybe yes. But then I think that window is now open, given his recent form. That is the only concern.
Yeah, it'll be the team composition, which will be the one we're all debating upon because there's Nitish Kumar Reddy as well. Jadeja is there as a batter who can do a holding job. How someone like Harshit, who's yet to debut, picked over Mukesh, who's been with the squad for a while. Again, there's startling questions to be asked about that squad. We discussed that, Karan B, where I think you're part of that chat. I generally feel... Go on, next.
Yeah, please go on, sorry.
No, I generally feel with Rana, I think they're trying to get him into that Shardul Thakur role. I'm honestly not saying they're like for like, but they're trying something, and hopefully these few more Ranji games should give us a little bit more evidence of what he does with a bat in hand. Fitness-wise, bowling-wise, form-wise, Harshit Rana is ready to go. He's raring to go. Whether he's a finished article, only time will tell. Nikhil wanted to add on that?
Yeah, I think, Harshit gives you a very differential option of being the hit-the-deck bowler that you missed in South Africa, that you missed in England as well. So I think there are attributes there that you want to pick on to. And of course, see, when you take a punt, when England take a punt on Sohaib Bashir, George Harris, we are all ridiculing them that you're picking people out of nowhere. But then Sohaib Bashir took a fifer at home. Jamie Smith has scored brilliant. He had a good time in Pakistan as well. So there is merit to why Harshit is being picked. But I think Mukesh could still start if Siraj doesn't do well. So to me, how I look at it is Mukesh is a backup to Siraj as a line bowler that you want. If you want somebody to give you control, then Mukesh is your answer. But if you want... See, the problem is you have to see like this. Jadeja is your defensive option. Ashwin or Sundar, whoever plays, will be a defensive option. And then you have Bumrah, who will again be, yes, he can take wickets. But again, he's someone who you want to keep it tight. If you have too many of these guys who are all bowling good to bowl tight to tight, you need somebody to be the aggressor. So I think that's where, I think the variety is where they might go on to Harshit. And it's a 5-match series. So you have to take those punts earlier as well. Because those first 3 games, will eventually decide the series. So you'll have to be at your tactical best as well.
Yeah, and the thing here is, Kanan, I mean, not to, of course, give you the example of what England did with Tom Hartley, Ashur Bashir coming to India. They picked players which obviously not many people are expecting, but they got the job done. So India might be taking a page out of the in terms of variety attack. We might not have a left armer, but what are the other right arm pacers bringing? You look at the throwback attack that everyone talks about under Virat. Umesh being skiddy, Ishant having the height, then Shami being, such a hit the deck bowler, and of course being nippy at times, and then Bumrah being so versatile generally. So you got to have that whole armory, and hopefully that's something that we can really take. I know it's been a 1 hour 45-minute show, and I'm going to end proceedings right now because so many questions. Could we have Umesh in absence of Shami saying Kenichi? No chance. There is no chance. I mean, we're hoping Shami comes back, and he will come back, I'm guessing. Only time will tell, indeed. What's up with Rituraj Gaikwad, guys? I mean, he's been picked for the India A's.
So he's going to go there. I don't know what he will be thinking, that he was part of the T20 setup. Now he's going to go with the India A setup. As long as Gambhir is talking to him and he's talking to Gambhir, I think the way will be clear for him. But let's see how that India A tour goes, because even Nitish Reddy, I think, will be looked up very, very keenly there. If he comes good, then he could potentially be your fourth pacer. Who knows? Again, it's a risk, but you have to take it.
Yeah, exactly. I just think with Rituraj Gaikwad, eventually when Rohit has to vacate his position in tests, I think Gaikwad will take that up, because Jaiswal has definitely claimed a place to bat 5-6 years in this format, even though I might seem like I'm speaking too soon. Sumit Tyagi saying, is it possible to debut MS Dhoni? Serious question. You're having a laugh, Sumit, but we appreciate it. It's the first day of the week, so why don't you smile and, of course, like this video, all of y'all. We're logging out right now, but I've just realized close to 200 if you're watching on X and Facebook, on YouTube, but on YouTube, it does matter the algorithm. So quickly, like the wow and share it if you guys are new. That's all we have in this one. Lots more comments, and I apologize if I haven't taken them.
Just take this last one. Take the previous one. KL, Butler. I want to know your opinion. Who should RCB go for? Sorry,
Butler, KL, Ishant, Salt, Pant, or Jacks. Who should RCB go after? I mean, if I have to be brutally honest, I'd say Jacks over there because he's three-dimensional. All the other are definitely... I mean, you could say KL and Pant are three-dimensional in terms of they can keep and captain and be explosive.
Open.
I mean, and open. Who knows? I was going to say explosive. But look, Nick, thank you so much, man. I mean, it's been a fantastic start to the week with this podcast. I know we missed Akshay generally in his How's That quiz. It wasn't a B, but if you guys are just tuning in and you missed this show, rewind it or watch it later on. We'll timestamp it for you guys. And there's plenty of live content coming out. I'll tell you what else is due this week. There is, of course, a live show on the 31st of October. Go check that out, because when all you guys are going mad that evening in terms of finding out the latest, catch the coverage on cricket.com. 5 p.m. We're planning a live. It'll be a Hindi-English live. So it'll be all of you all most welcome on that day. And November 1st, it's Diwali, and to people in Bangalore, it's also Karnataka Rajotsava. So what better way of getting a former Karnataka legend and an India Test cricketer for unwind? And that was, of course, this man. Here's a little teaser.
So imagine having Anil Kumble as the captain of the team and I am the coach. Vice captain is Rahul Dravid. Unheard of. So that is sitting in the first auction, picking up Virat Kohli, picking up Jack Callis, Anil Kumble, Mark Boucher, Dale Steyn, Zach. I imagine the kind of team we had built a test team for a T20 tournament. Karnataka dominated 90s cricket. I mean, even Rahul Dravid struggled for some time. Lakshman struggled. Gautam Gambhir. Everybody struggled. Even Sehwag struggled. They had to go back, make a return. But my career was totally different. Being a part of IPL team as a coaching staff doesn't serve me. Not my temperament, honestly. See, you can't generalize saying, okay, Indian coaches are beko. The foreign coaches are much better than Indian coaches. Another, it's a myth. So it's demand and supply, pure economics and the method thing. IPL is all about that. Really emotional connect ilve illa. It's also dynamic. Hanga agade illa. Now ankondaste ಇವನು ತಗೊಂಡನ ಅವನನ್ನ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವನನ್ನ ಮಿಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಹಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಟೀಮ್ ಪಿಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. You have the best team. Punjab Kings, according to me, had the best team 2 years. They never performed. ಏನು ತುಂಬಾ ಸಪೋರ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಟೀಮ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ. ಅಣ್ಣ, ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಅಂತ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಲೆವೆಲರ್. Don't make judgments too early. Just because they've got all out, don't make judgments about them. And the records are meant to be broken. Indian record, Indian break ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ. If that happens, we are happy. But at the end of the day, we are cricketers.
Right, that is a compelling conversation. I'll tell you what, for Nikhil and the rest of the guys who are, of course, non-Kannadiga or do not understand Kannada, we've subtitled it for you all. And it is a special watch because former RCB director as well, he could get a new job in the IPL. I'm not going to leak the cat out of the bag there. But ultimately, November 1st, Friday, 7 p.m. That drops. Go check it out. Plenty of crazy inside RCB stories, IPL auction tips, given that the auction is not too far away as well. So it's a Friday night must watch. On that note, it's time to say goodbye to Nix and conclude the Monday Night Live podcast. This episode will be available on Spotify. To all your listeners out there, thank you so much for making us happy on that platform. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from me, Abhish Hegde. Plenty of other IPL content that we're keeping posting. So check out our space on YouTube and X and Instagram as ever. Until the next time, it's a goodbye. And
cheers.
Cheers.